as we went out and tried to find a leader for our team and a leader for this program. I'm delighted today to be able to introduce Brett Brown as the coach of the Sixers for us. Throughout this process, it became more and more and more clear to us with all of the research that we did that he had many of the qualities that were important for this stage for us and that were important for the next stage for us, because we think he has the ability to be a great, great coach in this league. He has a wealth of experience as a head coach. He has a real passion for player development. And honestly, he shares a lot of the values that are important to me and that are important to our owners. I think you'll see today when you meet him and you get to know him, I just couldn't be more excited to roll up our sleeves and to get to work together to forge ahead. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Brett.
Thanks very much for showing up and for having me in this fantastic city. You know, I know a lot has been made about the process and the length of time that it took for the final decision to be made on who's going to coach the Philadelphia 76ers. And for me, it was a tremendous opportunity to also research a job that I was very interested in. As time unfolded, it became clear as you did more homework on the hiring of Sam and the analytics that he brings to the table. It's one of the big parts and changes of the NBA. How do you use statistics and information? And then you went a little bit further, and you got a chance to dig into the ownership group and understand their motivation and the resources that they bring to the table. And having spent so much time growing up in New England and so much time in Boston, I am acutely aware of the proud history of this city and the competitiveness of this city and how the city respects and demands the same types of people that I do as a coach. You saw the evolution that's coming up in a few years with practice facilities. In draft night, you take a step back and you wonder quietly, if you get this job, what direction is Sam and the owners going to take the team? And you get excited. You get excited to be a part of the rebuild. And we all know that the pain of rebuilding is real. We all will experience it. It isn't something that happens quickly. As logical as it is to say that, that is a fact. That is the truth. And there needs to be a tolerance. There needs to be a patience. And as I spoke to Sam and as I interviewed with the owners, and you used this time that unfolded where it was a long time for them to make a decision on who was going to be the coach, but it was a process. It became very clear that if I were going to leave a position like San Antonio and the fantastic organization and the people that I have worked with going now on 13 years, that it better be for the right one. And with the homework that I have done to be able to come here today and be announced as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers is a very proud moment for me. And it's my privilege to be here. I'm good to go. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but I really do appreciate the welcoming that you've given me today. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hey guys, just a reminder, we have wireless microphones. Please just raise your hand and introduce yourself, and we get to you.
Sam, John Gonzalez from Comcast Sportsnet. What was it specifically about Brett that made you feel like he's the guy for the job, his coaching style? What fits here with what you're trying to do?
Brett brings a positive energy that's sort of infectious. That became clear to anyone who meets him. It becomes clear the more research you do on him. It becomes clear when you talk to players who have played for him. He has a lot of experience in player development in particular, and there are many coaches that have that. There are a few that have the passion for it that he does, that he loves to be on the floor, that he loves to be with the guys, that he's seen up close just how important that is. And he has a diverse sort of background of basketball that I really love. Having coached in the NBL, having been a part of the Spurs organization, first in player development and then more recently as an assistant coach, and then a wealth of experience with the Australian national team, including being the head coach most recently. Basketball is played all over the world with all sorts of innovation and with all sorts of changes to the game, and he has seen that at many different levels. I love that part about the way that shaped him and the way that shapes the way he thinks, and the way we hope he'll help shape us going forward.
Brett, Howard Eskin, Fox 29 and WIP. Hi, Sam. There is a distinct belief that this team would like to get one of the top 1, 2, maybe 3 picks. With that, the team obviously cannot have a good record. You come from an organization that went down that road and got the players to win a championship. How does a coach a team for the first year, knowing the organization really is trying to get, I won't say try to lose, because nobody tries to lose, but trying to get those top picks? How do you coach knowing that it won't be a good one? And honestly, I don't know that they want it to be a good one.
I feel that the most important thing that we can do right now, and this is really my first day in Philadelphia, the first thing I did is we went to the strength and condition coach and put a huge premium on our health and our fitness. And we need to establish that part of the program. We need to implement a system of defense, and we need to implement a system of offense. The pieces that are required to get to that level of what I have been used to and very spoiled, I admit, all fall under the umbrella of competing and doing something where the fans are appreciative. You're proud of your team. And the steps that we're going to need to go through, whatever the result is, are still the same. The process is still the same. And I will speak to Thaddeus Young like you'll speak to Michael Carter-Williams, like you'll speak to the eighth man, and coach the game and play the game. We'll practice accordingly. We aren't going to skip steps. And the simplest way for me to honestly answer that is I'm going to do my job. And we're going to put in those pieces, and the results will end up the results, whatever the end game ends up. That's all I know how to do, and that's all my players will know how to do. And that needs to start from day one.
John Smallwood, Philadelphia Daily News. Brett, you said in your opening statements that, we all know this is going to be it's probably going to be a struggle because rebuilding takes time. But when is the last time you've really had to be in a situation like this? I mean, you're coming from a winning culture where success has been the norm. So what was attractive about wanting to take this project on, and do you know how you're going to react to it if things really do go the way people expected for that first season?
Two things. First of all, you are correct. I have not been a part of a rebuild since I have been in the NBA. I was about to be going into my 13th year with Pop and the Spurs. I've been a head coach longer than I've been an assistant coach. I've been around the game my whole life. I'm the son of a coach. I've been around and had the good fortune of being around a lot of good coaches. I have had experiences where losing comes into a team, and losing for a long period comes into a team. The rebuild part of that has to be keeping the locker room together and keeping our eye on the prize and making sure the young guys get it, and Thaddeus gets it, that it is going to be at times painful. I feel like the group that we ultimately will inch along with, and Sam's going to experiment with some things so that we end up with the types of people that we want to have here in a 3 and a 4 year time frame, is the prize at the end of the tunnel. I feel like personally, given the experiences that I have had, I'm not saying it's going to be fine. It's real. It's hard sitting there going through a normal rebuild process. But I think that you have to just make sure you stay focused on what you're really here for. Make sure that your defense is sound. Make sure that you retain your fitness base. Make sure the pace is what we want to play with. The pieces, I think, can be a good compass for me, and again, really not paying that much of attention to the result.
Yes, Brett. Over here. Down in San Antonio, y'all had a lot of great players. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Ginobili, Kawhi Leonard's coming into his own, but you also won with a lot of role players. How do you want to get the role players here at the Sixers to play to that kind of level?
Some of it's just, good fortune. We've seen it with Danny Green. We saw it with Gary Neal. That is the faith that I'm having in Sam, that we're going to be able to find some players. Some of it's going to be on us where we develop players. I'm thrilled about the prospects of our NBDL team. I've seen the benefit that we have with the Austin Toros and how we use that. Look at Corey Joseph. We put Corey Joseph in the NBDL, and he came in and had a heck of a role straight through the finals. And it's a great example of how you can use that and cultivate a system. The development is going to be huge. The ability to assess talent, which I think Sam is excellent at. And then me trying to put it in a position where it can succeed and develop it, to play it in games, to give it a chance. And I think that's really next year when you look at it, where it's going to be an educated science project where we try some different things and look at different things with players and give young players a chance so that we can have a shot at polishing up something that really could be a talent.
Brett, Jeff Skaversky from Channel 6. You talk about the pain and the tolerance and how tough this road is going to be to turn this franchise around. This process kind of played out a little bit. Was there ever any hesitation in taking this job, and at what point did you say to yourself, this is the right one, and why?
There was. At the end of our discussions, it became very real what I was going to be leaving. It became very real. And I think it's a healthy truth that I've just shared, because as you step back and you said, well, this is what I have had, and now are you prepared to leave with your family and the stability? I'm not a gypsy coach. I like staying someplace. I like a commitment from both sides. And then again, you went back to where I started on. You looked at really what was available here and the excitement. Can you imagine if we can get this thing right? Really. If we can get this right with the culture and the history that this city has and the pride and the toughness that this city has, that is very luring. It's tempting. And there were times that I wasn't sure, based on what I had, if I want to chance it. And I think this is a very high calculated chance. I think the risk reward here, and I'm grateful that they have selected me, tilts far on the side that at this stage, are you kidding me? There are so many coaches that would want this opportunity. It's dangerous. Rebuild is always a hard thing, but I feel just thrilled to be here, and I think now it's about putting the right people in the right places and getting that thing established, and I feel good. It's a bit scary at times because it is August 15 or whatever, close enough to it, middle of August, and we've got to get stuff in place in regards to staff and, fixing the video room and settling in. There's a lot of work to be done. But like I say, I'm just thrilled to be here.